Indie.
Wrestling is dead.
Thanks for joining us at Indie Wrestling is Dead. I'm Andrew Bowers and I'm just reading The Death of WCW. I bought this at the start of lockdown and I haven't even read page 1 yet. I also bought this one. I haven't even read a page of that. There's no reading in lockdown. Joining me today with Crazy Like a Fox. He's crazy like a fox. It's Mr. Tom Hummel.
My mate Liam O'Rourke wrote that book. It's very good.
I've heard
You know
that it's very
Timpsons?
good. Yes, I do know Timpsons.
They are paying their staff. Overall, it's costing them £500,000 a week because they are paying 100% of their staff's wages during lockdown.
Lovely bastards.
Found that out in the last couple of minutes.
I'm gonna go and get loads.
Timpsons.
I'm gonna go and get loads of keys cut.
I thought they would stay open because they're a key business.
Oh, God. And in the midst of that, we've left Chop reading a book for the longest he's ever read a book.
It's got pictures, it's alright.
It's DJ Chop, and it's dark. It's so dark. I don't know what the hell he's reading. What is it?
The WWE Encyclopedia.
Ah, okay, cool. Right, what page were you on?
I don't know. I just opened it because I thought when everyone was reading books, I just thought finding new.
Is Chop brushing up on his knowledge ahead of something that we may be doing in a bit?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, good point. No, but I might need it if I get stuck later on, like.
We are also doing Guesstler the Wrestler.
Yes.
So, I mean, that's
Are we doing Guesstler the Wrestler today?
We are. I mean, it's been sitting here for like about a month. I can't wait to get this one done.
Is it Drew Gulak the Wrestler? So you might you might need to add another line to it if that is the case.
Former.
Damn it!
Sorry,
Damn it.
Drew.
Right, I'd better do a different one then. No. How's everyone been keeping in the world of continuous lockdown?
I've been good. I've kept myself busy.
I think Chop's kind of discussion last week that we were on really got some good reaction. I heard a couple of people were happy that Chop had spoke up about how he was feeling, because I think me and Tom, as these kind of heart on the sleeve type guys, I guess, and like talking about our feelings and whatnot, sometimes forget that not everybody can. So I think there's a lot of people who are like Chop and have been struggling with it. So well done, Chop. I think it was really nice to hear.
It was good. I mean, the fact that I had a couple of messages of people who said, like, I don't usually come out and say I need a bit of help and that, and the fact that someone who's exactly like us, who doesn't ask for help, needed a bit of help, and it was nice just to share a little bit of feedback. That was a good little session we had.
It was, and I'm glad that you got something out of it as well, because I think it is very, very important. I've been saying to my kids recently, it's really, really important to just talk about how you bloody feel, because the way that we're all being treated nowadays, not to get political again, but there's a lot of blame being thrown around to just normal everyday people, never mind somebody who's working for the NHS as well. I just think we've all got to be a bit kinder, we've all got to be a bit nicer, I think, and listen a bit better. I'm sure my missus will probably accuse me of not being able to listen very well, but there we go.
Did you go high?
That's just the lockdown talking, though, isn't it? Like we're all living on top of each other. In some cases, literally.
Me just being a bit of a dick.
It's all getting a bit heavy. Oh, you've been a dick. Fair enough.
I just like talking.
Your honesty.
So, what have we been up to? What have we been watching? What have we been doing?
I'm still waiting for my fibre broadband to be switched on, and quite frankly, I'm
hell.
livid about it. It was meant to be on Friday, and it's now Sunday as we're recording this. Now they've sent me a text saying it'll be online before 11:59 p.m. on Monday. And do you know what? Genuinely, it's in my top 5 of things I've been most excited about during lockdown, is getting fibre optic broadband. And I've still not had it.
When you get that fibre, You live in new build flats as well, don't you? Really, like they're relatively new flats. It's mad that they didn't just put it in when they built.
Just have it from the start. It's frustrating. But we've got the router and all that stuff, and then I had to play the game, and I went online because I'm impatient. I'm impatient because they say don't plug it in until we send you the email. But I'm like, oh, it's such a chew on changing everything. And I was like, I really want to plug everything in now, so it's ready to go. So I just put a tweet out saying, if I plug it all in now, will I die? Or will the internet explode? And I got a few people saying yes, and the horseman will turn up. So that's good because I haven't seen Tully Blanchard in a while. And then somebody who actually works for an ISP, this is exciting content, I know, said it's all right to plug it all in. We just say that to stop people whinging when the broadband isn't super fast immediately.
Yeah.
So as long as you know that it's not going to be turned on until we tell you it's turned on, then go ahead and plug it in. Fire away, my son. So I have, and then you have to go around the house. And this is the modern equivalent of turning your digital clocks back an hour during daylight savings. It's the modern equivalent because then you have to go and change all your devices because you have a new router. So you have to go, right, what do we use? The PlayStation, the Alexa, we have a Google Home in the bedroom, we've got 2 phones that use it, we have this. So it's the modern day equivalent of that I therefore had to do. So that's been the most exciting part of my lockdown. It's been a fucking ball over here.
How about you, Mr. Chop? How's things with you? Any
what have I been up to? What have I been watching? I tell you what I am into. It's not really wrestling related. I'm into there's a Netflix series called The Last Dance. Did you watch much basketball?
Mate!
I'm not much of a baller, but like, hey, that series it's been brilliant so far. Really good.
This.
Nah, I bought 2K20 for the PlayStation for £4.
Oh, so did I. I bought it for the Xbox One.
How much for?
Great.
£4.
Where from?
£2.49 on the Xbox One store.
Is it really? Is it that cheap?
It was meant to be 50. It's down to £4 for the next 3 days or so.
Or if you got Xbox One like me, £2.50.
Just looking this up.
It's really fucking difficult game. Like I think one of it is. If you don't know how to play basketball,
if you've got it on easy, it's really good.
Well, yeah, that's fine. But like to actually do it well, that's the one thing. It's like it's really weird playing a game where you're like, I don't know what good basketball is. So yeah. I'm probably just like a 4-year-old playing FIFA.
Well, what I did was I went on to the season mode, and what you can do is you can download teams from Britain in the community thing. So I've got the Newcastle Eagles, and I've got Michael Jordan up front, kicking it.
Up front.
Is that what they say?
Front. I've got my Scottie Pippen at left back. I cannot say how good The Last Dance is.
Yeah.
Like, it's the best fucking sports documentary I've watched in so long. Like, I think seeing Michael Jordan as probably the best sportsman of all time, like, there's nobody like him. There's nobody like him wanting to get to that like level of like pure brilliance.
And actually finding him like nobody had said anything to rile him up, and he just pretended in his head that this person had said something about him. Oh, there was a shit game, and he had actually said it, but he put it into his own head just to rile himself up to win the next game. It's just mental, man. But I'm hoping there's going to be some wrestling talk coming up soon on it, because obviously Rodman was nicking off from WCW, and he was meant to be in the playoffs, and hopefully there's going to be something about that, because obviously the manager wasn't happy during 97 and 98 when he was going off to bash at the beach or whatever the hell it was. So
I realise now I have actually seen The Last Dance. It was on. It's only just gone onto Netflix, hasn't it?
Yes, it's a weekly series. There's still a couple of more episodes to come on.
Well, I'm up to the episode where the aliens kidnap the Looney Tunes, and Michael Jordan has to go and save them. That was a really good bit.
God.
Bill Murray turns up. That was a great surprise. Great surprise. That was.
Da 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 da.
I think that is on Netflix as well. Space Jam.
Yeah, that actually landed, I think, around the same time as The Last Dance, because whoever works in Netflix are full of banter, and they went, let's put Space Jam on there as well, just for lols. So well, Space Jam's on there too.
Gonna be watching that in my household.
I can't wait to see the remake.
Yeah.
With Kobe Bryant. I think that's gonna be brilliant as well.
Kobe Bryant, come on,
Am I right?
mate. No, it's not Kobe Bryant.
I thought he would have done it like years ago.
Kobe Bryant died.
Well, I know, but I thought he had done it before he died. Am I completely wrong with that? So who's doing the new one?
LeBron James.
Ah, right. For some reason, I thought it was Kobe. For some reason,
No,
I'd read that.
No.
Maybe he might have been doing it a long time ago, but it was certainly LeBron.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, LeBron took a break from being up front for the San Francisco Stars.
He's scoring all of those hand headers.
Scoring all them hand goals. Handball!
What I couldn't get over was like how many hat tricks they were getting in games. I was like,
how shit the defense was. It's like, it's 101 to 99.
out offsides. Nah.
Goal's too small as well, and it's really high up.
The goalkeepers must be tiny little men.
God, you've got to be really good at volleys in basketball.
Oh man, I tell you what, those got me into basketball like big time. I used to play basketball when I was younger, and like the 90s, like nostalgia is. I think nostalgia is a wonderful thing in lockdown, like because I think to take you away from the reality of our complete fucking disgraceful government not giving a shit about any of us. I think it's nice to go back to the 90s and see all these cool fucking logos. That's it, obviously a designer, but the cool fucking cartoony NBA logos are just mint. Like, I love it. Like, it just seems like a completely different world, like full of like mad colors and like big tall men jumping up to the ceiling and slamming.
He's on fire.
It's like wrestling.
First class one.
But it's like 90s wrestling when you watch it. Like, that's one of the reasons why like I was never a WCW fan, but I do like watching WCW because it's so fucking 90s. Like, it's so 90s. I absolutely love it. Yeah.
Well, I want to get one of them jerseys. You know the jerseys that they're the NBA jerseys. I definitely want to get a brand new one. And the ones that I've seen is the Miami one, which is like an old 80s pink style one. It looks mint. I mean, I'd have to wear it like Bill Murray and wear a t-shirt underneath. Obviously, tits will hang out the side of it. But
side boob.
No, it's funny you mentioned about like old school and sports and like the old graphics and stuff. It's because to bring it back to wrestling, on Wednesday, NXT announced NXT Takeover in your house.
So what's that entailing then? Is it just that have they literally just gone, we're branding it that for the time being? Or
I think
have
they just
actually...
It's just a one-off, I think. It's just because this year's the 25th anniversary of In Your House 1. The first In Your House, in which somebody did actually win a house, which is a little nugget of history that people forget, that they actually gave away a house on the first WWF In Your House.
Did they show anyone what that house was?
Yes, they did. Actually look a really lovely sort of modern build house for like the mid-90s.
It was built on a swamp.
Basically.
In the middle of nowhere.
Like Florida is. You know it's true. But it's, so I don't know what it entails yet. I guess because they're going to be doing a pay-per-view from the Performance Center. They just kind of want to, rather than sort of be too obvious and brand it NXT TakeOver Orlando, they thought, let's just have some fun with it. Let's just mess with the product a little bit, make it a little bit retro. And it's nice because now you do forget that the 90s is now retro. I know it seems obvious, but like they dig into a bit of their history at the moment with WWE, and like they had Mark Henry doing a voiceover for a pay-per-view, and you think, he's actually an old school guy. You know, when they had Steve Austin do the voiceover for Royal Rumble 2020, it's like, he's an old school guy now. That he's like a younger Freddie Blassie type in terms of like lineage. And so I like that they're now realizing we've got a whole decade of history that we've barely touched. So let's dig into that. So I'm excited for whatever it's going to be.
And speaking of retro, on the last episode, before we were talking on the last episode, we told Bowers about a certain, how can I put this, legalized emulator for your computer. Yes. And I know you've been playing it all weekend.
I have. I've been playing. It was like pretty much straight after. I'm just going to bring up which.
Andrew Bowers has been playing games that he legally owns.
I own all of them. As you can see, I did actually buy NBA Jam Tournament Edition.
Nice.
played on that. That was really, really good. Anyway, that one, just going back to NBA, if there's any NBA fans out there, send me some videos of what I should be watching to catch up on NBA, because I'm all in again. I'm all back in. Like, my daughter loves it as well now. Like, we always used to play basketball anyway, so I'm all in. Send me videos on how I can catch up with stuff. I'm a Houston Rockets fan because I used to love Hakeem the Dream Olajuwon when I was a kid. Anyway, that's besides the...
Aren't you like a white version of Muggsy Malone?
Me? Yeah, probably. I think he was even smaller than I was. I am.
Muggsy Bogley or whatever he's called.
So I own Bugsy Malone, yeah? No, Bugsy Malone. That's a Bugsy Malone, Fat Sam's.
That's a classic movie.
He played left back in the 20s, if I remember correctly.
Right, so these are the games that I played back in the day that I owned, all right? So, Brian Lara Cricket, anybody?
I wasn't a big
Nice. I remember that on the
Huge
Mega
cricket fan.
Drive.
I love that game. I haven't played it yet, but I've got GoldenEye. I've played that.
Love that.
Madden NFL 2000. Anyone play any Madden games?
I never used to like Madden because I never used to understand the rules of American football properly.
There aren't any. You just got to run into these people like that, and then you just run past them, throw it, catch it. It's crap. I hate that game. I also played a game called Music 2000, which is what electronic music. I can't remember how to play it.
Oh my god! It's so
difficult.
like they try to put like a storyline to GarageBand. It's amazing.
I can't believe that I used to be able to do stuff on it. Like, I just don't get it. Right, and other games, I'm just going to skip through some because there's one that I really want to talk about. Well, I had the Space Jam game, but that wasn't very good. I won £1 million on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire on the PlayStation.
Oh.
What was your £1 million question?
Oh, fuck, I can't even remember now.
Who is the president of America
Did
right
you Google
now?
it? You Googled it,
No.
didn't you?
No, I didn't. Well,
We didn't have that back in the day.
I answered it, and then I Googled it to see if it was right. I was right, though. I was right.
Like,
Question was,
you
what is the
pause
name of
game and run down the library and find out what the question was and come back with the library answers.
The question
Load up
was,
in
what is the
Carter
name of the
and
most
stuff.
dangerous virus in the history of the world?
It was I had to load up Encarta 96 on it. Just furious.
Yes!
PlayStation 1 and Carter on the other, like, oh god, load up.
Do you remember within Carter, they had like an adventure game that you could play in it, providing that you'd read all of Encarta, I presume. And you went to a different room and got asked questions. This is great. I love a bit of Encarta chat.
Didn't the startup of it always used to be Martin Luther King's speech? Or Mark completely way off?
Something like that, yeah. There's another
Maybe your
CD-ROM game that I remember. It was like a CD-ROM reference CD, and there was my mate had two of them, and we used to play this. Maybe this is how middle class we were. One was about the San Diego Zoo, and you used to be able to do a virtual tour of the San Diego Zoo. And one was who's the guy who's Peter Gabriel had a mad
Time.
yeah, he had a mad immersive CD-ROM experience. I'm going to find that on YouTube and we'll talk about that.
Wow.
Right, and then, okay, so the loads of other games that I played, I had a bit of Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 4. They got the remastered one coming up with that.
You not got the
That was-
number 5 for the PlayStation?
No, I couldn't find it. I went to
So
get 4.
it came out a few years ago. Obviously, this week, once it's been announced that 1 and 2 is getting remastered, the number 5 one is being selling for 80-90 quid on eBay. And I have one in the house. I bought about 5 months ago for the bed because he wanted to play Tony Hawk.
Get rid of it.
And I was like, I might get rid of that.
It. Get fucking rid of it. And my number one game that I played for that the whole, well, apart from original Grand Theft Auto, which is fucking amazing, the top-down Grand Theft Auto, that is one of the most playable games of all time. It is Parappa the Rapper.
Oh.
What a fucking
Now,
game
don't
that
get
is.
us wrong. When that first come out, like,
Don't you dare!
no, that was
No, I know,
lush. It was
I can't
brilliant
believe
when it
he's doing
first came out. I used to love it.
And that's the end of the sentence.
All right,
Yeah.
I'll keep it there. I'm not shit on it.
Go on. No, go on.
But it's just like
No!
Go on.
Stop it!
What are you... Right.
Torn between two lovers.
This
Go
is
on,
like
Sean.
when-
Give us your opinion on Parappa
this
the
is like,
Rapper.
this is going to be like when someone says, I tell you what, I hate the Beatles, me. The Beatles, they're so boring. They sound like all the other games. Oh,
Nah.
God.
I just think it should have been left
you know
in
what I
the
mean?
past with your memories.
You are right that you are comparing Parappa the Rapper to the Beatles.
Right. The reason I do
Kick
that,
Punch
right,
Shot Block is the new Imagine.
Kick, punch, chop, block. Oh,
two things about Parappa the Rapper, okay? First, kids game with actually good music. If you listen to it for the time, the music's pretty good. It's pretty good. The lyrics are pretty good in it, right? For a kids game, it's well done. Second, that was the first of the kind of rhythmic button pressing games.
Yeah.
Like, it was a complete original. Like, so because of that, you cannot slag it off. You can't, because then you wouldn't have. How many games use that kind of mechanic nowadays?
Well, do you not remember when what was it that come out after that with the Guitar Hero? That was like the same sort of thing. Yeah.
Exactly.
It was class.
I love Guitar Hero. So that's basically. How did we get onto that? All right. Now here's a clear segue back into In Your House. Do you like that? Do you like how I did that?
Nice, mate. Nice.
Just on that nostalgic vibe, I think it would be good. Now, do you reckon that they will probably do more of the because it's NXT, and because they know that NXT, probably that demographic for NXT have reacted quite well to the pre-taped cinematic stuff? Do you think they'll do anything with the In Your House stuff? Because I would love to see something a bit more pre-taped, something a bit more. As somebody who loves football and watched the Bundesliga behind closed doors and kind of
I couldn't watch it.
I turned off at half time. Like, that sounds really bad. I was so excited to watch football again. I find the same with wrestling.
What I ended up doing yesterday was, because the Bundesliga was so crap, I turned over to the Newcastle United Facebook and just watched the Newcastle versus Sheffield Wednesday from like 99, 8-0 match, and I was like, well,
I went on Twitter, and all it was on Twitter was people just going, announce the takeover. And I was hoping just on that the volley that Shearer does. I was hoping that it was that on that volley it was going to be takeover announced, but never. Never happened. No. So yes, going back to wrestling, what do you think, Tom? Or do you think it's going to be straight up wrestles?
Right, there will be some straight up wrestles at that particular one. There's a couple of matches that they are starting a slow build towards. Like Damian Priest and Finn Balor will probably go 1-on-1 in your house takeover. Okay. We will probably see Keith Lee and Johnny Gargano at that one for the North American title. But that, I think amongst that, I don't know whether we'll see any full-flavoured cinematic matches, but I think they will certainly go out their way to give it a unique aesthetic. I think they'll make it look and feel like a 90s wrestling show. I feel like that's a win they can have. They can do all the in-ring stuff, but do stuff around it that gives it like a 90s wrestling style feel, which I think I would be fine with.
Will they bring back Todd Pettengill?
Do you know what? I think even just to do like a bit to camera to start the show, or like a pre-rec bit with him announcing the start, because they had, I think Pettengill was on The Bump on Wednesday. He was on WWE's talk show on Wednesday, so he's obviously in good favour with the company. So it's and he's very much a face of the In Your House era, because it's sort of the new generation bollocks where all that stuff started. So he was very much a part of that. So it wouldn't surprise me if Todd Pettengill turns up.
Can Sonny come with him?
A little bit. I mean, if she's out of prison.
Oh, she's in prison?
Then yeah. She did a bit of Bird.
She's done a bit of few
Birds,
Birds.
from what I understand.
What I've heard.
Oh, of course she's out, because she set up an OnlyFans now that JR was dribbling over. So she's very much out now. So if you wanted to see
what a picture of JR dribbling over Sonny. Thanks for that visual, Tom.
You're welcome. You listen to his podcast. He's constantly lusting over random women on his podcast. It's a dream. It really is. What I listen to wrestling podcasts for.
I know Sonny has a bit of a checkered past, but it does make me laugh. The people who respond on her like Twitter with, "Oh, you've lost it. Oh, look at the state of you now." And I'm like, "Gosh, she's like 50. She's doing all right, I reckon."
I heard a rumour she had a little thing going with Dolph Ziggler. Did you hear that?
Oh yeah, I heard that rumour.
I think that was just rumour and innuendo.
No, she actually said it. She said she met up with Dolph Ziggler.
But I think I'm sure Dolph's denied it.
Has he?
Yeah.
I'm sure he has.
See,
I'm
this
sure
is why
he
you
said-
need Tom Campbell. He tell you what's happening going on.
I'm sure he has. I'm gonna have to check my sources now.
Right, so
Dear Dolph, did you?
Dolph Ziggler went out with someone famous. Do you know who Dolph Ziggler went out with? Who his famous squeeze was? His
Outside of
mainstream
wrestling?
famous- Yeah.
Is it Jessica Alba?
Amy Schumer.
Did you know? I did not know Amy Schumer and Dolph Ziggler were.
Did they meet at a comedy club?
Probably.
More than likely, because they're both like stand-up comedy.
Because he tried to do stand-up, didn't he?
Yeah.
He seems like quite a good guy, though, actually, in real life, Nick Nemeth. He's also fluent in American Sign Language.
Well, the more you know.
Well, more people need to do it.
Yeah. Okay, so we've had a quick question on Facebook, on our Facebook North Wrestling NCL fan group, which I think might kind of segue from talking about In Your House. Would you ever consider doing a behind closed doors event like WWE at the moment without an audience? Should licensing and rules be somewhat relaxed in the UK in the future? That's from Wayne Madden from the Spanish Announce Table. Yeah, I think so. We've had it. We talked about it before. Everything like before we went into lockdown, we were at an advanced stage of putting a show together, and we'd actually talked to some guys coming up from Birmingham, who kind of all live together, or at least lived in the same houses. But this was way before. This is before any lockdown happened, and we were going to do it at a certain lockup and try and film it and put it out, but obviously that all kind of went tits up, because I think at the minute it would be lovely to put some actual wrestling related content out. I mean, I think there was a time I know Rise was trying to do something similar, and then that just got kiboshed. I think any wrestling promotion would be clambering over themselves to do something, whether it's worthwhile money wise or not, I don't know, because we'd have to pay everyone to do it. Now, whether you get the money together to do that,
Because you've got to look at getting the money back.
Yeah, how do you monetize it? That's
Yeah.
the thing. And we're not going to be selling tickets for an online show at 15 quid a pop, you know what I mean? So
Then you've got to work out where the venue would be, because would the Riverside open for you just to put on an event that's...
the Riverside wouldn't, but there's a couple of other, like there's a lockup that we know of that we could probably, that could hold a wrestling ring in there, with some people that we work closely with on a not day-to-day basis, but on a kind of North wrestling basis, that we could definitely do something in there with. And they're interested in helping us out, and we know that there's plenty of people that are interested in helping out, but I don't want to just do something for free that we might, profit off, and I don't want to take advantage of people because everyone's really interested in doing a wrestling show. I don't want to just say, could you do it for free, because we can't afford to do it.
Yeah.
But then, but then we would only be able to ever do anything if everything was, with everyone's health in mind. We did actually talk about doing one where it was like, do we do like people who live in the same house? Could we put them in a wrestling match together? And I actually had about 2 or 3 people contact me afterwards and say, well, we all live together. So there's probably some options down the line. But personally, we're not at any point of even thinking about that yet. Like it goes without saying the June show's cancelled. Progress Wrestling have cancelled all of their summer shows, and I think we were going to be involved in the one in Newcastle in the pre-show, and that's all that's been cancelled. So it's unlikely that we're going to do anything before, I'd say, September, I would imagine.
Yeah.
But it totally depends on what our venue wants to do, what we can do. We're like the worst industry for it, because we have so many people traveling in from so many different places in the country, on public transport or in cars, sharing close proximity, and then getting sweaty all over each other. It's gonna be a long time before wrestling's back in what we thought it was.
I genuinely think, and this is a very northeast thing, but hey, we're North Wrestling, so fuck it. If the Great North Run comes back, surely we come back.
Yeah,
because that's what I thought. I thought about this, and then I thought, me and Alex were out for a walk, a government mandated walk, And we said, what about the Great North Run? Because that's in September. We've heard nothing about that. We're kind of coming up to the time where we'd start seeing the Great North Run sign turn up on the Tyne Bridge, which obviously isn't happening now. I haven't heard anything. I know the Great North 10K has been cancelled, but the Great North Run, which is the world's most famous half marathon, still very much on the quiet about that. I don't know whether anybody else has heard.
Nah, it's one of those weird things, isn't it? Where it's like for the first time in our lives, we're just kind of having to like just sit around and wait and see. Like we literally don't know. We've got a good relationship with the Riverside, so I kind of think that we'll be able to kind of go as soon as we're kind of told we're allowed to go. But again, we'd only do it with the utmost of health concerns. You know what I mean? I think. I mean, luckily, I think because it might be a good thing for the Riverside to run a wrestling show because there's less people come to our show than a big gig for them. They can run a skeleton staff because obviously, I mean, there's less people because there's a big ring right in the middle of where people normally stand at the Riverside. So you could socially distance through it, I guess, but we just don't fucking know. Like, we don't know. I've got tickets for a festival in London, Field Day, which is like in July, and they haven't cancelled yet, but that won't be going ahead. So it's just one of those things where who the fuck knows? But in terms of trying to do like a behind the closed doors event, yeah, we definitely like to do that. I think if we can do it where, I think, there's talk about like parties of less than 10 coming together, we could 100% put on something like that. Whether we have the financial ability to do it, we probably do. Whether I want to lose money on a show just to do it, I'd have to weigh that up. But it would be lovely to do something, though, wouldn't it?
It would, just to get something out there, yeah.
It would be. It would be. Glenn Donnelly also asked something around similar ilk. I know it's been passed about on the likes of Twitter, and I'm gonna put this to you guys because I've talked about it before and I've talked about it on our Discord. I know it's been passed about on the likes of Twitter, but realistically, do you think when everything gets back to whatever normality will be, you'll partner up with another organisation and do a super show? Now, I don't mean champion versus champion, like 2 or 3 companies doing mini shows, or is it not financially worth it? Now, we talked about this on, somebody asked us this on our Discord channel, and I just don't know how a super show works. I don't know what you do. There's talk about us doing it with Riptide on Twitter and on our Discord. Thoughts, guys? Has anyone ever been to a super show or seen a super show?
Nah, I haven't been to one. Like, Tom, have you?
I'm trying to think if I have. No, I think, but back in the day, Chop, I know that we sort of pie in the sky talked about like North and Absolute shows together. I know we did as well, Bowers, and the general consensus with them is like there's so many of the same people used that it doesn't really make
any sense. Yeah,
it's a different audience, different but the same wrestlers doing slightly different things. It's one of those things that feels a bit like fan service. Which
it sounds like a good idea, doesn't it? Where it's like it would be lovely to see a Riptide show in Newcastle, and it might be nice to see a North show in Brighton. But realistically, what's anyone getting out of it? Like if we were to go down to Brighton and have some of our guys on there. I mean, I would say that I think we talked about this briefly. Like, I think Riptide do have a bit more of a core roster. We have more of our own core roster. Like going up against each other, that's fine. But I'm not sure whether that pays any service to the wrestlers, because then, like, if they were, surely the wrestlers would want to get just booked by Riptide. Surely the Riptide wrestlers would want to just get booked by North. And like British wrestling isn't like WWF versus WCW and the invasion angle. British wrestling is small promotions trying to coexist in the same community and industry together. It's not like we're like, you know what I mean? Though it's not like New Japan versus WWF or NXT crossover with New Japan, because you can't see a card.
Because with all them, it was like new matchups that you'd never seen before. Whereas
you're not going to see.
You're more likely going to see it in our stuff. You know what I mean? Yeah.
And also, even like the idea of WWE versus New Japan, like as great as that is for like dickhead fans like us who are like, oh my god, we can do everybody versus everybody, Rainmaker versus Rollins, oh my god. To us, it's great, but the majority of WWE fans, overwhelming majority of WWE fans, are casual fans And that's true. And is a casual fan going to be invested in seeing, for example, Okada versus McIntyre?
No,
And unless you tell the story on WWE TV, then yeah, but that's a story that you have to tell from the ground up. And it's same with, I think, I would imagine if we polled a lot of people that come to North, and they wouldn't know enough or anything about Riptide, but then at the same time, not to sound like a dick, if you poll people at Riptide, they would either know not enough or nothing at all about North. And that's
absolutely, yeah.
It's like Chop, as a DJ. Like if one person comes up and requests Last Ketchup, you're going to ignore it, right? But if several hundred people in that nightclub are asking for Last Ketchup, and you can find a way to do it, you're probably going to do it.
I'd probably pack up and fucking leave.
Oh, there's that as well, and never return to Shields again. But there is that. But it's like if there was a big enough appeal for it, but I feel like it's too. And this is somebody talking who would love to see it, who would chomp at the bit to see it, and isn't work shy about making the trip to Brighton to do an angle to build it. Oh my God, no! If we do it, we do it. I'm going down to Brighton and I'm going to beat the shit out of their ring announcer. But like,
they have a
coming for
ring
you.
Announcer. They have a female ring announcer. That's shocking.
I'm not beating the shit out of a female ring announcer. Be mean. But I'll go and heal it up and ring and
Yeah.
Unless she starts it, no. But it's no. There'll be no. We do it like what I'm saying is we would do something like you do something that would beef it up if there was enough demand to do it. But I don't know if there would be. With the greatest respect to all parties involved.
I think that TNT had something ready for this year with CZW. Am I right with that?
Yes, that was it. They were going to do,
and that was going to be an intrigue
death,
because that was it was something to do with them over there having their. I mean, it would look like it was going to be pretty good,
But that's very, very different. So that's really, 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 really different. And I think that's a really good example of kind of like of a promotion or a promoter or a wrestler understanding what the benefit of doing something is. So for us, benefit of a Riptide crossover show. Well, what would be the benefit of that? It would be for us to go down to Brighton and get some Riptide fans, maybe. Okay, so maybe we would get a clutch of Riptide fans who now maybe come and look at North. That's a lot to do to get those guys when really we could probably get them online through some promotion that we do, which is much cheaper and a lot easier and done from the comfort of our own home, and also concentrating more on our product rather than trying to take Riptide's product and mesh ourselves into that.
Yeah.
Look at the CZW thing with TNT. TNT have taken a very different model, I think, in everything that they do. They bring in some fucking huge draws to Liverpool, and they, David Starr's their champion at the minute. They've had like fucking Pentagon. They've had loads of fucking people, and then them doing. I think they're doing a GCW. They were planning on bringing GCW over, planning on bringing CCW over. Right, that'll cost, I imagine, quite a bit of money. But the big benefit for that is that people see, not only in the UK, that TNT are having these big collaborations with these big American companies or bigger American companies. But not only that, over in America, CZW fans will see, oh, there's this little company over there called TNT. Maybe they're the British version of what we like over here. Now there's a massive benefit in there because your scale of what you can actually make completely, or your scope, your audience scope, it expands exponentially by just doing that. Us in Riptide, we should be getting the Riptide fans anyway. Like we should be able to get those Riptide. So the benefit is like absolutely nil. And to be honest, I once got told by. Fuck it, I'll say it anyway. Right. So when we were at the Progress show, when we were doing the pre-show, we talked to John Briley about maybe having like Spike coming out and doing something with our belt, and he immediately like nixed it. And at the time I was a bit like fucking hell, but he made a good point in that it totally he made a good point. But I think with our levels of where we are in Progress I'm a bit like he said putting the North belt on someone like Spike on Progress, who's quite far down the card, who's on the opening show, and then putting the belt into the and bringing that belt in and our champion into the pre-show match completely strobes off the whole company, and it makes you look a little soft, and it makes you look like you're actually much smaller than Progress. And I was the part of me which is like, fucking hell. But now in hindsight, I'm like, actually, there is something to be said
really,
about that.
wasn't it?
Well, it's protecting us, and it's like actually, if all of a sudden we are saying we are at a level which is opening card progress level, and that's where our top level is. You are strawberrying yourself off against a bigger crowd. Now, will we be doing exactly the same if we went into a collaboration with someone like Riptide? Are we saying that if unless it was reciprocated, if it was just like a North showcase on Riptide, does that make us look like the little promotion up north? That and essentially is it strawberrying us off? Yeah, probably a little bit. So there's a lot to consider with these things, and I think Tom's right. Is like it's a bit fantasy booking. And it's a bit like, be great on TEW because you could do it and you could mess about with it and it'd be fun. In reality, it doesn't really serve a purpose.
And it's got to make money as well.
Yeah.
And you might not be able to make much money with it because you've got to split the profits down. So
Exactly. So hopefully that kind of puts that one to bed a little bit. And really, it's a no. I think just to kind of expand a little bit in terms of what I think might actually be something that would be useful, would be doing like a WrestleFest type thing where you had multiple promotions coming together in one place, either having like a show during the day, like like these conventions that they do in America around about WrestleMania time, something like that where all the promotions work together to create one kind of big event and get some momentum that way, where you try and bring in people, maybe, but again, I'm already starting to see what the issues with that would be.
It's like Super Clash in the 80s.
Yeah.
And even that had problems. Like so basically, see, if you're not a grizzled wrestling veteran like us three are, so it was the AWA and World Class.
Memphis as well, wasn't it?
Memphis, a few other places all came together to do like a big WWF beating pay-per-view extravaganza. But here's the thing, none of the bookers got on, and when they weren't lobbying for their guys to win each match, they were going up to other promoters' guys and saying, come and work for me. It was an absolute shambles, and you run the risk of doing that again.
There's some really lovely there's some really lovely promoters in British wrestling that I've talked to and gotten with, but I don't know if I would be that great to work with, to be honest, because North's my thing, and it's very much like you're then all of a sudden going from a dictatorship to 8 dictators trying to lead a communist state.
Trying to take over a world when there's only one world.
Well, yeah. So really, I don't see it happening. I don't see it happening, and I don't really see it working. And I think that's because we've got a lot of work ourselves to do on our own product that can make it better, that could be better, that could grow. Like, we're very much still in our infancy. We've got a long way to go before I would say that we were at a point where I was confident enough or comfortable enough to say, we've done it, guys, we're here, you know what I mean? So yes, good question, a good conversational point, but I think it's one of those things where the reality of the situation just grinds it to a halt.
I got a question on Twitter, and it was, what do we all think of the latest series of Dark Side of the Ring? Now, have any of you been watching it?
I've only seen, and this is terrible.
We talked about this, haven't we?
I've only seen the Dr. David Schultz episode. I know you guys are watching the Brawl for All one, which I haven't watched yet. But
the only reason
excited to make time to binge watch them all.
Oh, you've got to.
The only way you can watch is on Daily Motion, isn't it? So.
Well, YouTube's got the episodes up, but it's like it is jumps a little bit. But if you go on the torrent websites, you could maybe find them there. I haven't personally.
That is not the advice of North Wrestling Limited.
Christ. Let's move away from ROMs. Let's talk about torrents instead. Christ. Next week, what songs have you downloaded on Napster? Jesus.
But I'm looking forward to the...
which articles did you plagiarise for your dissertation?
But I am looking forward to the Owen Hart one this week. They're so really well done. They're produced in a way where it's got such an 80s vibe with the score. The music, I think, is amazing in it. And the fact that they've picked all different stories. I mean, I don't know if you've all seen season 1 last year when it first started, but the one that hooked us straight away was obviously the killing of Bruiser Brody. And every single week, they only done like 6 or 8 on the first season. And then the first season of this season 2, the first episode of season 2 was the Chris Benoit tragedy, which was a 2-parter, and that was really, really good. And
I think that was the one that caught the attention of like the mainstream. That one, And I know that I sat down and watched that with my 18-year-old daughter and my wife, like, who are not wrestling fans, and they were like, "What the fuck? Is this?" It was like a true crime. Well, it is a true crime documentary.
Basically.
But it was like one of the Netflix true crime documentaries. So they're so fantastically well done.
And then the Brawl for All one. There's a Jimmy Snooker one that's been pretty good. The Dr.
You know what?
David Schultz.
I think that's the one I can't watch yet.
Which one?
I fucking hate Superfly Jimmy Snuka. Superfly Jimmy Snuka. I fucking hate him. I don't know why. I've always hated him as a wrestler and as a character. I've just really. I skipped that one to watch the Dino Bravo one, which was really, really interesting.
Yeah,
really,
it was
really
a good one as well. The fact that he was connected to the mafia, which was a bit crazy, like. But this week's one was the story of the Legion of Doom, which was obviously talking about the tragic death of Hawk and that, and or how they all got together and that. That's a pretty good one as well. Listen to watch. But this, like I say, this week the Owen one. I'm not sure if it's a season finale or not, but I
seem to think that it is.
Yeah, and it's got to be really for a big story like that. It's got to be. But I just can't wait to listen to some of the ribs that he did.
You start the season with Benoit and then you end it with the Owen Hart story. That's the two biggest mainstream wrestling death stories, I think, really. So, yeah.
But if you worked for Dark Side the Ring, what stories are left to do that haven't been done yet by them that you think would need to be a definite episode for them to do? Have you got anything you can think of top of your heads?
Who lifted the briefcase?
When Rikishi ran over Stone Cold. I don't know. I don't know what you probably. I guess the only kind of thing I could think about is if you did an expose on. I guess you could do the steroid
trial.
Steroid abuse scandal. Yeah, you could do an expose on WWF or Vince McMahon just dismantling the whole of the regional scenes, the way he just picked off people and created a monopoly.
Tell you what I've been intrigued by, which is one that hasn't had a lot of attention outside of wrestling, which is the real story behind the Fabulous Moolah. That would be something Dark Side of the Ring will get their teeth into.
They've got it. That was the season finale of season 1.
Yep.
Well, that shut me the fuck up. They've done that already.
It's really good. It's really, really, really.
And they went in quite depth with what the allegations and everything was like.
Yeah, I mean, you can watch them legally on all 4.
Yes, you can.
And it's season 1's brilliant. Like, it's Randy Savage and Miss Elizabeth, the Montreal Screwjob, Bruiser Brody, Von Erich family, the death.
Von Erich one's really good.
The Von Erich one.
It's tragic, but it's a really well put together.
Yeah. That was actually their most watched because he tells you the viewers. That was the most watched one of season 1, and then Fabulous Moolah's the end of that one. But yeah, like it's a fantastic series. Like
I just like the way it's put together. It's put together really well. Like actually, I tell you one they could do, and I would love to see it. Be a one about Dynamite Kid.
Yeah,
that would be amazing.
Really
yeah. There's a great story with Dynamite Kid.
And if they want to come over, I'm just putting it out there now. I'll drive you wherever the fuck you want to go. We'll take you to all the shit kebab shops and all that for your food and that, you know. Do all that for you. Just get me in the show. I can be like a fat Davy Boy Smith.
Just don't get him on interview because he'll tell you that he was Dynamite
Kid.
Kid.
Damn show.
His children or his like grandchildren, Dynamite Kids, or they were wrestling in Defiant, weren't they?
Was it not Davy Boys?
I believe. Well, that's Davy Boy's kids, obviously. Harry Smith, isn't it?
I didn't know Dynamite was. I didn't know.
Dynamite Kid's son or grandson, I don't know, was wrestling in Defiant as part of a tag team.
Yeah, he was they were the Billingtons, or as Marty Jones calls them, the Dynamic Duo.
But it would be nice for him to
Quality.
catch up and see Dynamite, and obviously he doesn't do interviews, obviously with the general wrestling community, you know what I mean? But you know how the dark side always seem to find like these people out of this in the sticks or whatever, you know, they'll get a hold of
I mean,
them.
I'd be dead impressed if they found Dynamite Kid, because he died in 2018.
Eh?
Yeah.
Fucking hell, I'm useless, me. Like.
I mean, to be
Dead.
I didn't know that.
I mean, do you know what? If anyone could find him, it's the guys behind Dark Side of the Ring. They're very good. They can dig out Dark Side. If they can,
Dark side of the grave.
if they can, hey,
Yeah,
Dynamite Kid died in 18,
Fucking hell.
Yeah, because I think that's when.
which
his
is probably
son's
why he
then-
hasn't done many interviews. To be fair, I didn't know they'd done the Murder episode, so we're 1 for 1.
Well, Chop, who was the other person Chop didn't realise was dead as well? Earlier on in his
Oh,
very
who was
episode.
that?
All the Bee Gees.
Yes, well, yeah, I think that would be really cool. There's a really good book about the Dynamite Kid, I think. I think can't
Pure
remember.
Dynamite, the Tom Billington
Yeah.
story. It's written by him, and boy is he angry in it.
Yep.
There's a
Yep.
great bit in the book. There's a couple of great bits in the book where he really just goes off on Davey Boy Smith. Didn't like Davey at all. Very angry about Davey. And there's a whole bit in it. It's really eerie. It's a whole bit about. He describes this young man that comes to where he's staying the one night and was very respectful and asks him about getting hold of some steroids. And I introduced this man to steroids for the first time. His name was Chris Benoit. I was like,
Oh, fucking
whoa,
hell.
that's a weird story. It's the whole. So he tells this kind of this sort of beautiful nostalgic anecdote about introducing Benoit to alternative.
And what do you reckon? Do you reckon that's a true story, or
muscle
is that just
growth.
like a story just to embellish the book?
I think every great story is embellished in it. You know, every there's. I think
certainly in
everything is
wrestling.
embellished. It's wrestling, isn't it? Of course, it's embellished. I don't doubt for a second that Benoit probably had some help in the muscle department from Dynamite Kid. But obviously, it's every story is embellished. I think that is a little bit too.
Yes, I think so. I think, yeah, what was I going to say? I was going to say something about the Dynamic Duo. That was the name. I was just looking at them on Cage Match. I think they wrestled at Defiant as well. And they're his nephews.
He did, yeah.
Yeah, there was one match with Ozzy.
They're very good. They're very good. I called a match of theirs for Fight Forever Wrestling in Birmingham last year, I think it was.
I forgot.
They were
about
very
that.
good. Yeah, very brief little foray into the wrestling world was Fight Forever, bro. I enjoyed it. I'm sad that no more's come Vicks. I'd like to work with them again.
Yeah, definitely. I think they were like quite green at the time, and I think they had got. I think they were training with Marty Jones, so I think they got pushed through that way. Did some stuff on Defiant, and then I've not heard of them doing anything for quite some time. It's a shame. They're nephews of his, not sons. So yeah, interesting stuff. Right, so another question, and it comes from Matthew Gregg, and it's on it's on our Facebook.
Chop. Give her the impression, Tom, because I love the impression, man.
Hang on, is it on your Facebook page, Bowers? The question.
It's on the North Wrestling fan group, and it's going to be a good one. It's a very Matthew Gregg question to ask.
Oh, is it? Oh, excellent. Hang
is.
on. The North
So
Wrestling
what-
fan group. I'm going to find the question. I'm going to read it in Matthew Gregg's style. Right. How you doing, pal? Which member of the NCR roster would you take out on a date?
So
It'd be Matthew Gregg, obviously. That goes without saying.
No, don't start with me. Let me have a think about it.
okay, Tom, you're
Matthew
going with
Gregg.
Matthew Gregg. I would go with, if I was to take somebody on a date, who would it be from the NCL roster? I reckon it would be TK Cooper, because I reckon he's a good old bit of fun on a night out. He's got
You
good
might get a
banter.
kiss at the end of it. Woo! Whoa, what a nice. He'd be good fun, actually, on
He's
a
also a
date.
very handsome man, I think, as well.
He's a very handsome-ist man. Very handsome-ist man.
I think
Big
I'd
fan
have
of
to say, I think Rory Coyle would be annoyed that I didn't say him, but me and him go on coffee dates all the time. So
Yeah, exactly.
he's
He'll be
he's like in North Wrestling roster terms, he's like my wife at home, whereas TK be my bit on the side.
Nice. Sly. Come on then, Chop.
I'm going out on the piss with Martina Mealy because you know it's going to be good music. It's going to be decent tins, cans, and it's going to be a rocking night, like, so. Easy.
Good night, that. That's very nice. Well done,
but it's not a date if my wife asks, all right? It's just like two people going out on the piss. Clear that right up.
See, I went for the funny angle because I'm committed to my wife. Like, Chop went for somebody that he fancies.
No, I didn't say that. I said I was going out on the piss.
Mine's a bit of column A and a bit of column B, I'll be honest.
Right, so...
Who is it, Tom? Who's yours?
Matthew Gregg.
Oh.
me and Greg are going on a hot date.
What do you think of doing this is from the Ginger Genius? Ginger Genius? That's my mate.
The Ginger Genius! That
Ginger
is
Genius.
genius.
Right, so
Ginger Genius. Come on, Tom!
No, the reason I said Ginger Genius is because...
Come on, Tom! Every time I'm a bit late getting in the ring. Come on. Tom! Get on with it,
Don't fall, Chop! Don't fall, Chop!
Don't fall over, Chop! I'd like to point out that we love the absolute bones off of Colin Baker.
Yes.
Genuinely one of my favourite humans on planet Earth. And we've talked about it a few times on the podcast. Love him.
If you listen to
No but, I just love him.
If you watch our shows back and there's any chops or there's any like punches or anything nasty, you'll hear, ow! Every time. Ow!
We don't need a crowd. Let's just do a show and get Colin in. Done.
Colin on one side, Andy Emerson on the other side, and it'll be as
Oh,
loud
there you
as
go. North done. Box
Nah,
ticked.
you need a third on the other side. So there's like...
All right, okay. I'm going to suggest then Dan Griffin from Leeds, from Yorkshire. Dan from the Leeds contingent. Bringing Dan in.
I thought you were going to say Dan Fitch, just to sit right on the stage and just.
I want Dan to sit on the stage and look bored. And I want Dan Griffin in the Leeds quarter to make a lot of noise. That'd be nice.
Definitely. So there's a quick anecdote here from Chop might remember this. Me and Chop never crossed paths. Well, that we can remember when we went to school. I think you were the year below me at school, at Monk Seton High School. But do you remember an awards ceremony when one of my really good friends, a little ginger fella called Andrew Gilfillan, won an award for like the History Award? He walked up on stage. You had the mayor of North Tyneside. You had our head teacher. You had his history teacher. It was in the Whitley Bay Playhouse. My mum was there. I went to Whitley High at this point, so this is when we were at sixth form. But I was there with my family. His family were nearby. There was about 700 people in the Whitley Bay Playhouse, 500, 700 people.
Yeah.
He walks up. He's a diminutive lad, very shy lad as well. And he walks up on stage, and in front of all these people, this really, serious ceremony, turns around to the fucking crowd and goes, "I am the Ginger Genius."
Did that really happen?
Yeah. Then walks up and like the crowd were like, "What?" And just takes his award, shakes the hand of the mayor, and then walks out. It was like everyone no-sold it as well.
I can't really say that I went to awards evenings. I didn't really win much back in the day, surprisingly.
No, but the school were forced to go. I think all the school we had.
All the clever ones. I didn't want all the dirt bags going, man. Jesus, the only thing I ever won was 100% attendance because I couldn't get a day off sick with my mother.
Well, that's good. That's impressive. It's more than I won. Do you want to hear Chop? Do you want to hear the most middle class thing you'll ever hear? Do you know what I bought off Amazon?
A butler
from my back garden. A badminton set.
No.
It's really good.
Oh, get you.
Colin Barker.
What happened with the croquet set? Did you get bored of that later, did you?
Yeah.
Was the horse getting in the way?
Badminton. Because somebody's too good for tennis now, it seems.
No, because the bats are smaller than the tennis racket, and it's probably the right size for him. Little bat.
Anyway, Colin Barker, the genius. Would you think of doing a Question of North on Zoom with Tom, the champions and challengers via interweb hairnet technology malarkey thingy? That's from Colin Barker. Well,
great idea. Come on, Tom, answer the question. Colin, I love the idea. It'd be nice to do. I mean, ideally, the next time I do Question of North, I'd like it to be in the Riverside. To be honest, that's kind of the fun.
we've been talking about doing I think we will try and do a Question of North podcast between you guys, and then have like the fourth member so that people can play along with it as they're listening to it. But just at the minute, actually put.
We also talked before this pandemic came about. We were all talking about having like a live show, didn't we? That we were thinking they were doing, where we just basically just had a couple of wrestlers, maybe some like bigger names who would pull in to do the quiz on stage somewhere, or like a pubs, or you know what I mean, like one of them.
That'd be fun. That would be fun.
The world caught fire.
And then the world just shit all over.
And then we realised that we didn't actually have to see each other in real life at all. But no, there is a thing called Grapple Heads, which is being done by, I think it's Neil Rogers and Andy Emerson, aforementioned Andy Emerson, which I think we've been asked to be on, so we're going to try and get on that. They've had some pretty good success with. I think they've done their first show. It sounded like it went well. So to be honest, writing a quiz at the minute, I ain't really got the time to do it. I can't really be asked to write a quiz because I do one every Wednesday with my family, and it's fucking boring.
Why is it boring?
Bang bang fuckers. The family quiz is boring. Bang bang fuckers.
Do you reckon my mum's gonna release a podcast and talk about me on that one?
I hope she does.
What does she say? What's the first line she says? Have you heard any shit wrestling podcasts on Twitter, bro?
No, I think there's only one. Talking like an old vet. Anyway, stop that. So I think.
Don't know what you're
I'm
talking
talking to myself.
I can't even name it.
So do you know what? Do you know what'd be nice? It's not. I'm up for doing grapple heads because it'll be nice to actually do a quiz rather than put together a quiz.
Yeah.
I'd quite like to be the guest at the restaurant rather than the maitre d'.
No,
so that's my motivation.
When I do these, I put all this shit videos and everything together. Like I'd like to someone say, "Here, Chop, there's an invite. Press that and come on the thing," because that would be nice for a change instead of having to.
Well, I think we've been, and I think you've been also asked on Popping the Boys podcast as well, haven't we?
Yes, I have. I don't know why Tom hasn't been asked.
No, we all asked. I didn't get asked.
I'm not bothered. It's fine.
No, but I didn't get asked.
Chop, you go on.
Let me just say something here. I didn't get asked.
Well, let me tell you something, brother.
Let me tell you something.
Fuckers.
Mean Gene. Again.
Well,
It would be a Pop the Boys podcast if it wasn't for fucking me, would it? Why did he get a fucking invite?
I quite like that.
I'm the promoter, obviously. Everyone thinks that.
I quite like that the de facto North fan cast won't invite the North promoter on. I do quite like that. That's like setting up. That's like setting up Baywatch, the podcast, and not inviting David Hasselhoff on.
I think what they want to do is they want to get us piss mortal drunk. So because usually I'm very reserved when I'm not had a drink. But the one is to come on and just shoot the shit and shit on everyone and
Chop.
Go
forth and multiply.
Yeah, I think we should do it. I really
Popping the Boys, we are dispatching you, Chop. Please.
We're going to have to change the name of it to Chopping the Boys. Just remember that, right?
Oh! Get his brand in there. Get his brand in there.
That DJ Chop handle is fucking.
Oh,
anyway,
mate, it's money.
So I'm just having a look at any other questions that we've got. We've got a couple of other questions. There's one I've already answered, which is what is one match stipulation that you've always wanted to book but you cannot and have or can't. And come on, we've talked about it already. You mustn't
Blue bar cage.
Yep,
exactly. But out of all the WWE X talent that has been released during this period, whom would you book for a North show? Hulk Hogan.
Don't see him, mate.
Drew Gulak.
Here's a good question. Best build-up to a moment that left you feeling slightly unfulfilled.
So I had good build-up, but the match was shit.
Well, there was this one
This is
time
one
I was on a date.
I was going to say when I thought I was getting a Mega Drive and I ended up not getting one for Christmas. That left me slightly unfulfilled.
Pretty bad. That sucks, mate.
Best build Invasion angle?
Yeah.
Surely?
Yeah.
I mean, that's got to be it. Got to be it for me.
It's got that's up there with like the ultimate sort of blue ball moment, the Invasion.
Yeah.
The return of ECW is quite an obvious one. The big hype around ECW and kind of how garbage that was. Like, I don't mind them bringing in. I look at that roster they had for ECW and I think, wow, you could have had so much more fun with that. And they did to an extent near the end. Like Matthew writes a weekly blog where he's been watching every episode of ECW on Sci-Fi.
Of
right?
Doom.
That's it from the blog of Doom. And there are some standout episodes in there. Like the one he's just put up now, I've spotted it on my Twitter before we started recording, was the one where Christian and Shelton Benjamin have a ladder match. That was a thing.
Hidden gem
on
that.
ECW. Yeah, I'm going to watch that after we finish talking. I'm very intrigued by that.
Before or after Vince was made himself champion?
that was after. That was after Do-Rag Vince. After Do-Rag Vince.
I think the main issue that they had with ECW, I think personally, one of the reasons why I think NXT's done so well in the guys that it is now, is that they didn't change. They basically recorded it before all the big shows, didn't they? So it was just in this kind of like half-empty arena, and they used the same setup, just changed the lights on it. And I can understand why you do that for logistical purposes, but it didn't. It just looked like a shit version. It looked like Heat. Or I mean, I liked Heat because that was one of the only wrestling shows I got to watch back in the day. But you know what I mean? It looked like fucking Superstars, one of those those crappy
Velocities and shit like that.
Yeah, and it just looked like that. I think they were never going to put the money in it to put in
that, and the fact they didn't leave the trust in Heyman. Heyman wasn't given free rein to do as much creativity as the first episode. I think when they brought that fucking zombie to the ring. I was like, what the fuck is this like? And then the trouble after that is they went back to what was that arena they did the one night stand in again? It was the
Hammerstein Ballroom.
Yeah. Well, they did an episode actually there, and Batista and Big Show had a match, and you're thinking, what the fuck are they ECW? I know Big Show was drafted there, but it was just such a shit match. Crowd was shit all over it.
Oh, do you remember the chants? Do you remember some of the chants?
Yeah, it was go fuck yourself, die.
You both suck.
You've got herpes.
Change the channel. Change the channel was my favourite, where they all started chanting, right. Change the channel. You both suck.
Fuck, I remember that episode. I do remember
this
that.
match
was
sucks.
Undertaker on it? Was the Undertaker on it?
No.
What was that? What
one.
am I thinking of? That show.
CM Punk's debut against wasn't Stevie Richards. It was against
Rene Dupree.
No, the one who
Shannon Moore.
No, it wasn't Shannon Moore. It was Just Incredible.
It was Just Incredible.
What was that show I'm thinking of where they did the Undertaker and it was they had it was the Raw anniversary show,
the 1000th Raw, where they had him come out to the in the old arena. That's it.
That was a bit of a disappointment, actually. I was really looking forward to that. That was a bit of a disappointment.
Yeah, it wasn't ran well, that.
Yeah. I tell you what I did like about the ECW one, because I think either the Invasion angle or the ECW one. I think you're right. I think bringing back ECW was a real disappointment. But I did quite like the ECW one night stands.
Yeah, the first one was incredible.
The second one was shit. Was the second one? What happened? There's one defining. It's still fun to watch though.
It's still a good episode.
The first one was superior. The second one wasn't shit. You had the Ray and Sabu had a great match with an awful finish. That kind of set the tone for where they're going with ECW at this point. Van Damme and Cena was just a moment. My God,
that had good build up. A really good build up.
Yeah.
The closest we'll ever come to seeing John Cena as a heel was that match at the Hammerstein Ballroom.
Cena wins a wee ride. Oh, that was phenomenally done. That
they just kept like he just, and you know what, he's so good. I think everybody, it's cool to hate John Cena, but he's so fucking good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like he embraced that, and you could tell he embraced it. He didn't try and be anything. He the fact that less is always more. Like he didn't come out giving it the whole baba do. He just walked out, stood there, and stared out to the crowd. Didn't react. Was emotionless to it. And
trying to chuck his t-shirt off to the crowd.
Heat in that room. That was it, and they kept chucking it back.
At him. That was brilliant.
So good, so good.
If you think about why he was hated because they never changed him, and he was always face, and he didn't change anything about his character once he got over. Once he was superhero John Cena, you never saw a heel turn, you never saw anything different. He was always going over. You know what I mean? It was always blah blah blah. to then not do that when he goes in a one night stand, it's like, fuck, that guy gets it so fucking much. Even though he's throwing the t-shirt, you can see in his face where he just got the crowd in the palm of his hand.
Yeah.
Like, it's so fucking good that, like, but yeah, those one night stands were really good.
I think the first one was better than the second one.
Yeah, the first one was better, but that was because it was like
never been foreseen for ages.
Like the atmosphere in that crowd. Yeah, with Sandman, I think you can go on YouTube and see.
Well, actually, remember last week? The last episode. I had said, like, what's your favourite entrances? I never got to tell you mine. That was my actually favourite entrance. Sandman coming out with that music, with the crowd going crazy, and there's there's a bit at the end of the entrance where he stands on the ring, and like the camera keeps switching to like Tommy Dreamer, and it goes back to Sandman just as the music like goes da 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 bang, and he stops like that. And it's just like, yeah, fucking come on. It's just, it's got that moment of, right, let's fucking fight. It was a fucking wicked entrance.
He smashes the cat. He starts bleeding, doesn't he?
Oh, it's mental.
He starts bleeding as well, doesn't he, when he smashes.
And the crowd's like getting his cane in the crowd, and they're smashing it off his head, and that. Oh, it's just mental.
But then he gets in the ring and wrestles, and it's like, oh god.
Yeah, the bell hat ring.
Terrible. There's a really good video going around of Sandman at a independent wrestling
Seen it
from like last year, where they get the music wrong, and for some reason, I don't know if is it dubbed over. Someone just made it.
Did you read the comments about it though?
Because the music is BBC's World of Golf.
Yeah. Well, did you hear what the story behind that was as well? Do you know why he was so? He looked so down. It's because it was the night he found out someone had died. I want to say it was Eddie Guerrero. I could be wrong with that, but when I read the comments that they were saying like, oh, he looks really sad because obviously it was the night that he found out that Eddie died. If it was Eddie, you know,
it'd be a bit like you in this podcast. People would be looking back at this and going, "This was the night that Chop realised that my kid was dead." He looked really down.
Tickle.
Anyway, that was a nice. Only other thing I was going to say about a best build up to a moment that you left feeling slightly unfulfilled is when I watched TNA and it was Jeff Hardy versus Sting.
Oh,
that was a moment.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Why they let that guy go out, I have no fucking idea. It's absolutely.
There's 2 great episodes of 83 Weeks available now, if you want something to listen to.
Yeah.
Which is Eric Bischoff's podcast, and he talks about the first episode of Impact on a Monday night, and they have a deep dive into TNA Sacrifice 2010, I think it is, and it's all Bischoff talking about some of the stuff that went on behind the scenes at TNA. And oh man, it's like 4 hours worth of listening that genuinely has made my lockdown. It's so good to hear some of the stuff that went on there, and like I don't want to give it away because I want you to listen to it for yourself. But he talks about all sorts of things amongst all that stuff. It's great. It's a great listen.
I'm such a fan of TNA around that point even for it being so shit, like when it was shit as well. Because I used to download our episodes when it was just an hour. And Samoa Joe I've talked about this before. Samoa Joe was the TNA X Division champion, completely fucking undefeated. I even watched it all the way through to when Hogan and Bischoff turned up, and it became an absolute shit show. But it was still so fucking watchable because it was like watching WCW all over again on steroids because it was even worse. So that will definitely go in my listen pile. Right, well, thank you for the questions. That last question, by the way, that was a really good question, actually. Best build up to a moment that left you feeling slightly unfulfilled was from J. Bear Burgess on our fan group. We got loads of questions, actually, so it was really good. We didn't get through all of them.
But save them for the next one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we will. So thank you very much for those questions. So that comes to the point where we're going to close things down now. But we have Guesstler the Wrestler.
And what's the scores at the minute?
Wrestler.
Is it still 2-0 to me?
Scores are 2-0.
That's 2-0, Tom. 0.
Right. So I haven't prepared this very well. So I've just got a Wikipedia page up of the person that we're talking. We're going to do talking about. I'm going to do 8 questions. You'll get a guess on each round. You got to say your name to guess, and obviously, first one to guess wins. You really going to need to get into this one, Tom. You really going to have to get into this one. So, first question, question 1. I was born on November the 27th, 1973, in Gastonia, North Carolina.
Chop.
Yeah.
Bobby
Okay.
Lashley.
No. Right, it's gonna take a while. In 1997, I was recruited to the WCW power plant facility.
Okay.
Right, let me. I'm gonna just take a note of. Right, let's have a look at what our. Sorry, my internet's gone slow. My last. Oh God Almighty! Right.
My last God Almighty. Is it Jesus?
Right, okay, I can hear you now. Right, my last match listed on Cage Match.
Okay.
Come on, Cage Match. Was on the 10th of July 2010. Oh, God. Where I defeated Joe Attell, Man Lips, Spaz, and The Orphan.
You can't say that, man. What?
Is it Oliver?
Oh, my God.
Jesus! Okay, is this all right? Is this a mega obscure one? On the
Kind of.
obscurometer, where are we sitting? One being like
I'd say that-
absolute
what-
Billy Nobody, 10 being Hulk Hogan.
I'd say like a 3 or a 4.
Okay, cool. Right, all right.
Because the last
All
one's
right.
shot got way too early. And remember, I might get a point here. Okay, in
How?
Because
Oh, if we don't get it.
we don't get it. Yeah.
All right. I was going to say you can't because you're looking at their Wikipedia page.
I know, yeah.
Bowers.
Okay, I am listed as No, hang on. Right,
This is so chunky.
It is very chunky. It is very, very chunky.
Big fan.
Okay. Here's a good one.
Oh, Christ.
WCW and WWF licensed their voice and body scan images to support the EA and THQ Pro Wrestling video game series. He first appeared in WCW, NWO Thunder, and then WCW Mayhem.
Chop.
okay.
AJ Styles.
Nope.
Damn. You gotta guess this round, Tom.
I'm not guessing yet.
Okay.
Okay. So we're on this is question number 5.
Okay.
Their contract was among the 24 that was purchased by the WWF when WCW folded in 2001, and he was sent to the Farm Territory HWA Heartland Wrestling Association.
Okay.
Right, we're gonna start a kind of. I know what my final question is, which might give it away. Oh, how do I do this without giving it away too fucking much? All right, fuck it, we'll just do it. Right,
He has
we'll just
blue
go
eyes.
Okay. Right. Okay. No, I've got this. This is going to be my last one, but I'm going to give you a bit. It's going to be a bit more of a. Right. They lost the belt
Who's they?
to the person you're thinking of. I'm trying to put this in.
Okay.
No. Okay. Medusa beat this person.
Tom.
Yeah.
Evan Courageous.
It is Evan Courageous!
Yes! Come on!
Tom's back in the game.
Right. When you said they were
Medusa.
matched for EA, I seem to remember it was one of the 3 count lads, but I couldn't remember which.
Him or
I remember it being a thing. So I thought, I'm going to hold my colour.
Yeah.
I knew it'd been picked up. When you said we lost to Medusa, Courageous.
I'd
Done.
have never got that.
Really not. I don't know what. I was gonna. So Medusa pinned him to become the first ever female to win the WCW.
She did like a sexy pin on him
Cruiserweight
to win the
Championship.
belt. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, she did a low blow and then did a sexy pin. Remember that. The next bit was going to be they were part of a stable who claimed to have a musical hit. Do you remember what the name of the song was? That they used to come out and sing. Do you remember the name of the stable that they were in, Chop?
Can't get you out of my
I
heart.
remember 3 count.
Well done. Yes. He also appeared in several smaller independent films such as Metal Gear, Crazy Eyes, and Shotgun Kiss. I don't know what I was going to do next, to be honest. There's not a lot to know about.
You could have done. He was one half of the penultimate WCW Cruiserweight Tag Team Champions.
Wow, he was with Shannon Moore.
No, Evan Courageous and Kid Romeo.
Oh, wow, okay.
Am I right? No, I'm talking out my arse. He never was. I'm talking absolute bollocks. I'm thinking of Eli Skipper, which is very wrong. Kid Romeo and Eli Skipper were the penultimate tag team champs.
They made an appearance at the final WCW show in March. Him and Shannon Moore wrestling for a shot at the Cruiserweight Tag Team Champions, Kid Romeo and Alex Skipper. But they were bested once again by Mysterio and Kidman and watched as the Filthy Animals. I forgot about the Filthy Animals. They were a fucking cracking tag team then. Went on to defeat Romeo and Skipper for the belt. So it's 2-1. We needed that. We needed that to keep us interested. Right, so that's going to be it. I think my lunch is ready now, so I'm going to have to dash off for about 5 minutes.
I've got a Sunday dinner I can smell downstairs, so I'm going to have my Sunday dinner.
I was going to say, nice. I'm going to have to go and explain now why I'm a little bit late for lunch. Do you know Evan Courageous?
Do you know Evan Courageous? If they get it right straight away, then they win.
What a sad last match to leave on, by the way, though. Evan Courageous.
Pretty miserable, isn't it? Well done, everybody. Thanks for coming by, everybody, and listening. It's been lovely.
Hear anybody?
Mm.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. You're still here, mate.
Oh. Right. So we're going to end it. Hopefully you can hear me talking here.
Yes, I could just hear you, mate.
We'll end it with that. I'm going to have to go because my internet's fucking up and I can't hear anybody else. I'm going to go and have my Sunday lunch. I hope everything's going well for you guys. We'll hopefully be on Grapple Heads this week sometime, so you'll see our pretty faces sometime soon. But hope you all keeping well. And that's the end of the podcast. Right, love you, bye guys.
See you later, guys.
Love you, bye.
Bye.
Lovely.